Hey everybody, welcome to Outdoor Gear Repair. Today we're going to be taking a look at a tent whose seam tape has been flaking off. Now this seems to happen a lot, especially in older tents, or if it's stored wrong, too hot, the seam tape will actually start to deteriorate and fall off, and it creates a big problem because you lose your waterproofing that way. But I'll show you how to fix it. Here we go. We've got an old Sierra Designs single wall tent, and take a look inside here. You'll notice immediately all over the floor there's the ubiquitous seam tape that's fallen apart. And if you look at the seams, they're really struggling there. In fact, there's basically no more tape along that seam, just very little. And if you look up along the walls here, you'll see that it's all starting to deteriorate and come off. It's creating a big mess in the tent. A lot of times what people will do is they'll try to take off all this old seam tape, and it'll drive them nuts because they can't get it all off, and they're like, oh man, I've been working for 4 hours on this. I've actually done that once. You go to seam seal over that inside seam like that, it usually ends up not sticking very well because the old tape that's still there, if you don't get it all off, stops it from bonding. So here's what you're going to do. Instead of trying to seal the inside of the tent, you seal the outside. Once again, we're going to go with the seam grip with WP waterproofing from Gear. Stuff works wonders on just about anything. You get it at any local co-op, or sometimes you can order it online for a decent price. In addition, you're going to need a paintbrush of some sort, tiny one, you know, like this size. Now you just take some of the seam grip, put it on your brush, and then paint it on the seam. Make sure that you get both sides of the stitching. It's kind of hard to get it to go straight down the seam, but if you get it taut, it seems to work pretty well. I can't really stake this out. It's a lot easier outside, but I can't really stake this down in the house, so it's a little bit trickier. Another thing that I found helpful is if you try to get underneath the seam, like right under that fold over flap, try to get a little bit under there in case any water seeps under there. I don't mess with these superfluous flaps like that because if the water gets through that seam, it's still gonna drip right down onto that, which is impermeable, so there's no point in really messing with that one. When you get to these points where you have your little loops that come out here, I just try to get it in the seams there also, and even on the back side here. It seems like those are sometimes weak points where the water might start to drain in through there. When you finish, let it dry for 48 hours. I've tried 24, but it's still a little tacky. And so if you just let it set for 24 hours and you try to roll up your tent, it's actually going to stick together. 2 days imperative. It's a little shinier on the seams, which is not, some people might think that's unsightly. I really don't care as long as it keeps the rain out. There you go, completely sealed tent from top to bottom. You can also flip the tent upside down and do this on the underside for the floor as well, if there are seams. This tent doesn't have a seam on the floor, so it's not a big deal. One average tube of this covers a 2-person tent. I don't know if you'd squeeze a 3-person tent out of it, but you'll get a 2-person out of this, or a solo tent. 2 tubes of it will definitely get you a 3 to 4-person tent covered up again. There you have it. For a few dollars more, keep yourself dry, keep your tent on the trail, out of the landfill. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next video.